Welcome to Bible Reading in 1 Year, Day 23rd. Genesis 42. When Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you look at one another? I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down to that place and buy for us there, so we may live and not die." Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin with them, saying, lest some calamity befall him. The sons of Israel went to buy grain among others who journeyed, for the famine was severe in Canaan. Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was he who sold to all the people. His brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph recognized his brothers, but he acted as a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where do you come from?" he asked. They replied, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." Joseph knew who they were, but they did not recognize him. He remembered the dreams he had dreamed about them and said, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." They protested, "No, my lord, we have come to buy food. We are all one man's sons. We are honest men, not spies." Joseph insisted, "No, you have come to see the nakedness of the land." They replied, "We, your servants, are 12 brothers, sons of one man in Canaan. The youngest is with our father today, and one is no more." Joseph declared, "It is as I said, you are spies. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not leave unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you to bring him while the rest stay confined. This will test your words and prove whether you are truthful. Otherwise, by the life of Pharaoh, you are spies." He put them all in prison for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said, "Do this and live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers stay confined in prison, while the rest of you carry grain back to your households. Bring your youngest brother to me so your words will be verified, and you will not die." They agreed. They said to one another, "We are truly guilty concerning our brother. We saw his anguish when he pleaded with us, and we would not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." Reuben reminded them, "Did I not tell you not to sin against the boy? But you would not listen. Now his blood is required of us." They did not know that Joseph understood them, as he had been speaking through an interpreter. Joseph turned away from them and wept. Then he returned, took Simeon, and bound him before their eyes. Joseph commanded that their sacks be filled with grain, their money returned, and provisions given for their journey. They loaded their donkeys and departed. At an encampment, one of them opened his sack to feed his donkey and found his money in the mouth of the sack. He exclaimed, "My money has been restored. Here it is in my sack." Their hearts sank, and they trembled, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they returned to Jacob in Canaan, they recounted everything that had happened. They explained how the man who governed Egypt had spoken harshly, accused them of being spies, and demanded they bring their youngest brother as proof of their honesty. They added, "He kept Simeon and said we must bring Benjamin to trade freely in the land." As they emptied their sacks, each man's bundle of money was found inside. Seeing this, Jacob and his sons were afraid. Jacob lamented, "You have bereaved me. Joseph is no more, Simeon is no more, and now you want to take Benjamin. All these things are against me." Reuben said to his father, "You may kill my 2 sons if I do not bring him back. Trust him to my care, and I will return him to you." Jacob refused, saying, "My son shall not go with you. His brother is dead, and he alone is left. If any harm befalls him, you will bring my gray hair down to the grave in sorrow." Genesis 43. The famine in the land continued to be severe. When they had eaten up the grain they brought from Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, "Go back and buy us a little food." But Judah reminded him, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you send Benjamin with us, we will go down and buy food. But if you will not send him, we will not go,' for the man said, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.'" Israel said, "Why did you deal so wrongfully with me as to tell the man whether you still had another brother?" They replied, "The man asked us pointedly about ourselves and our family, saying, 'Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' And we told him according to these words. How could we possibly know he would say, 'Bring your brother down'?" Then Judah said to his father Israel, "Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself will be surety for him. From my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not lingered, surely by now we would have returned this 2nd time." Their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best fruits of the land in your vessels and carry down a present for the man, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, pistachio nuts and almonds. Take double money in your hand, and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouths of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take your brother also, and arise, go back to the man. And may God Almighty give you mercy before the man, that he may release your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved, I am bereaved. So the men took that present in Benjamin, and they took double money in their hand, and arose and went down to Egypt, and they stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Take these men to my home, and slaughter an animal, and make ready, for these men will dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph ordered, and brought the men into Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money, which was returned in our sacks the first time, that we are brought in, so that he may make a case against us and seize us, to take us as slaves with our donkeys." When they drew near to the steward of Joseph's house, they talked with him at the door of the house and said, "O sir, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it happened, when we came to the encampment, that we opened our sacks, and there, each man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. So we have brought it back in our hand, and we have brought down other money in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put our money in our sacks." But he said, "Peace be with you, do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. The man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys feed. Then they made the present ready for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they would eat bread there. When Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand, and bowed down before him to the earth. Then he asked them about their well-being and said, "Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" They answered, "Your servant our father is in good health. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads down and prostrated themselves. Then he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your younger brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Now his heart yearned for his brother. So Joseph made haste and sought somewhere to weep. And he went into his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out. And he restrained himself and said, "Serve the bread." So they set him a place by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves. Because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked in astonishment at one another. Then he took servings to them from before him, but Benjamin's serving was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with him. Psalm 13 verse 1-6. How long, O Lord? Will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I take counsel in my soul, having sorrow in my heart daily? How long will my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and hear me, O Lord my God. Enlighten my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. Lest my enemies say, I have prevailed against him, and those who trouble me rejoice when I am moved. But I have trusted in your mercy. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord, because he has dealt bountifully with me. A quick one. Have you liked and subscribed to this channel? Please do, so that we can grow together. Back to today's readings. Proverbs 3 from 11-12. My son, do not despise the chastening of the Lord, nor detest his correction. For whom the Lord loves he corrects, just as a father the son in whom he delights. Matthew 14 from 22-36. Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a ghost. And they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, Be of good cheer. It is I, do not be afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. So he said, Come. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him, and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. Then those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all that surrounding region, brought to him all who were sick, and begged him that they might only touch the hem of his garment. And as many as touched it were made perfectly well. Matthew 15 verse 1-9. Then the scribes and Pharisees who were from Jerusalem came to Jesus, saying, "Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they do not wash their hands when they eat bread." He answered and said to them, "Why do you also transgress the commandment of God because of your tradition? For God commanded, saying, 'Honor your father and your mother,' and 'He who curses father or mother, let him be put to death.' But you say, 'Whoever says to his father or mother, whatever profit you might have received from me is a gift to God, then he need not honor his father or mother. Thus you have made the commandment of God of no effect by your tradition. Hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy about you, saying, 'These people draw near to me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men.' See you tomorrow. God bless you."